The diplomatic vessel UNS Horizon drifted through the cold vacuum of space, its hull reflecting the distant stars like scattered diamonds. Captain Daniel Brooks stood on the bridge, watching the vast emptiness ahead. His hands rested on the command console, steady and calm. Next to him, Ambassador Linda Martinez reviewed her notes one last time. "They should be here any minute," Martinez said quietly. Her voice carried the weight of what this meeting meant. Humanity was about to meet another intelligent species for the first time. Everything had to go perfectly. Commander Kyle Harris checked the sensor readings and frowned. "Ambassador, we have incoming ships. Multiple contacts. They are big." The view screen flickered to life. A fleet of alien vessels appeared, sleek and graceful, with hulls that seemed to shimmer with strange colors. They moved in perfect formation, like birds flying together. The ships were beautiful, but they also looked powerful. "Captain Brooks," a voice crackled through the communication system. It was strange, with clicking sounds mixed in, but the translation software made it clear. "I am High Speaker Vornati H of the Calrith Collective. We welcome you to this historic meeting." Brooks nodded to Martinez, who stepped forward. "High Speaker Vornati H, this is Ambassador Linda Martinez of Earth. We are honored to meet you and your people. We come in peace and hope for friendship between our worlds." There was a pause. Then Vornati H appeared on the screen. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that changed colors like a mood ring. His eyes were large and golden, looking down at the humans with what seemed like amusement. "How charming," Vornati H said. His tone made Martinez uncomfortable. It reminded her of an adult talking to a child. "You are new to the galaxy, yes? You have much to learn about how things work out here." Dr. Sophie Bennett, the team's language expert, whispered to Harris. "Did you hear that tone? He sounds like he thinks we are beneath him." Harris nodded but said nothing. He kept his eyes on the sensor displays, watching the Calrith ships carefully. "We would be happy to learn," Martinez replied smoothly. "That is why we are here. To talk, to understand each other, and to find common ground." Vornati H's colors shifted to something that might have been satisfaction. "Excellent. Then let us begin. The Calrith Collective consists of 12 species, all working together in harmony. We have brought peace and order to many worlds. Now we offer this same gift to humanity." Martinez felt a small warning bell go off in her mind. The word gift bothered her. What exactly does this offer include? "You would join the collective," Vornati H explained. "You would have access to our technology, our trade routes, our protection. In return, you would share your resources and knowledge with us. You would follow our laws and accept our guidance." Brooks exchanged a quick glance with Martinez. Guidance. Another word that did not sit right. "That sounds like a significant decision," Martinez said carefully. "We would need time to review the details and discuss this with our government on Earth." Vornati H's colors darkened slightly. "Time. Ambassador, we have been watching your world for 3 months. We know your capabilities. We know your technology level. You are a young species, barely out of your own solar system. You need our help." Martinez kept her face neutral, but inside she was processing this new information. They had been watching Earth. 4 months. Without Earth knowing. That changed things. "Perhaps we do," she said smoothly. "But even young species have the right to make informed choices. Surely you can understand that." Another Calrith appeared on the screen next to Vornati H. This one was broader, with darker skin and more aggressive colors. "I am War Coordinator Zektar," the newcomer said. "The High Speaker is being generous with his time. Other species have taken our offer quickly and have benefited greatly. Those who hesitated often regretted their delay." The threat was barely hidden. Martinez felt the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "We appreciate your generous offer," Martinez said, her voice still calm. "But we will need at least a few days to review the terms. I am sure you can provide us with documentation." Vornati H waved one of his 4 hands. "Of course. We will transmit the agreement to your vessel. But do not take too long, Ambassador. The collective does not wait forever." The screen went dark. The bridge of the UNS Horizon was silent for a moment. Brooks let out a slow breath. Well, that was friendly. Dr. Bennett pulled up the transmitted files on her console. I am analyzing their agreement now. It is written in their language, but the translation software is working on it. Harris moved to her side. What does it say? Bennett's face grew darker as she read. It says humanity would become a junior member of the collective. We would have limited voting rights. We would be required to share all our scientific research. We would allow Calrith advisors on Earth. And we would give them mining rights to our asteroid belt. That is not a partnership, Brooks said quietly. That is submission. Martinez nodded. I need to contact Admiral Cole. This decision is bigger than any of us. She moved to the secure communication station. Within minutes, the face of Admiral Richard Cole appeared on a private screen. He was an older man, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Ambassador, Cole said, I have been listening to your conversation. The Calrith are exactly what we feared they might be. You knew? Martinez asked, surprised. Cole's expression was grim. We detected their observation 3 months ago. We let them watch. We let them think they understood us. But they were only seeing what we wanted them to see. Martinez felt her heart begin to beat faster. Admiral, what are you saying? I am saying, Cole replied, that it is time to stop pretending. The Calrith think we are weak. They think we are an easy target. Let them continue thinking that for a little while longer. Keep them talking. Ask more questions. Make them believe you are considering their offer. And then what? Brooks asked, joining the conversation. Admiral Cole smiled. It was not a warm smile. Then we show them who humanity really is. 2 days passed. Ambassador Martinez had asked the Calrith hundreds of questions about their agreement. She wanted to know every detail, every clause, every possible meaning. High Speaker Vorn80H was growing impatient. Ambassador Martinez, Vorn80H said during their latest call. His colors were darker now, almost angry. You have had enough time to study our offer. What is your answer? Martinez sat in the conference room of the UNS Horizon. Captain Brooks was beside her, along with Harris and Dr. Bennett. They all looked calm, but inside they were tense. I still have a few concerns, Martinez said politely. For example, this clause about resource extraction. It seems quite broad. Could you clarify exactly what resources you would be taking from our system? War Coordinator Zektar appeared on the screen beside Vorn80H. We would take what we need, he said bluntly. Minerals, metals, gases. Your asteroid belt has resources that the collective requires. You cannot use them all anyway. Your technology is too primitive. I see, Martinez said. And what about this section on military forces? It says we would need to reduce our fleet to defensive levels only. What does that mean exactly? Vorn80H waved a hand dismissively. You would not need a large military. The collective would protect you. We would station our ships in your system to ensure your safety. So your ships would be in our home system, Brooks said. It was not a question. For your protection, Zektar said. But the way he said it made it sound like a threat. Martinez leaned forward. High Speaker, I must ask you something directly. You mentioned other species that joined the collective. Did they all join willingly? There was a pause. Vorn80H's colors shifted in a way that Dr. Bennett had learned meant discomfort. All species eventually see the wisdom of joining us, Vorn80H said carefully. Eventually, Martinez repeated. What happens to species that refuse? Zektar smiled. It was not a friendly expression. There have been a few stubborn species over the years. They suffered unfortunate circumstances. Economic problems. Trade routes that mysteriously became dangerous. Sometimes accidents happened to their ships or their colonies. Accidents, Harris said quietly. His hand moved to his sidearm, a motion he immediately stopped. But the Calrith had noticed. Yes, accidents, Zektar said. His eyes focused on Harris. It would be a shame if Earth suffered similar accidents. Your world is so fragile. So many people living on just one planet. So much that could go wrong. The room went very quiet. The mask had finally slipped. The Calreth were not offering partnership. They were demanding surrender. Martinez stood up slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard as steel. War Coordinator Zektar, did you just threaten my planet? Zektar's colors brightened with confidence. I simply stated facts. Your world is vulnerable. Your defenses are weak. We have analyzed your capabilities thoroughly. You have 3 orbital platforms with outdated weapons. You have perhaps 50 military vessels scattered across your system, none larger than this diplomatic ship. You are children playing with toys. You seem very confident in your analysis, Martinez said. We are always thorough, Vorn-ATH said. We have watched your world for 3 months. We know everything about your military. You cannot hide from our sensors. Martinez smiled. It was a cold smile. High Speaker, you made a critical mistake. What mistake? Vorn-ATH asked. For the first time, he sounded uncertain. You assumed we did not know you were watching, Martinez said. You assumed we were too primitive to detect your surveillance. But we knew, High Speaker. We knew from the very first day. Zektar's colors changed rapidly. That is impossible. Our technology is far beyond yours. Is it? Captain Brooks asked. Then why have you been watching the wrong part of our solar system? The Calreth went very still. On their ship, alarms started to beep. Zektar turned to look at something off-screen. His colors went pale. What have you done? Vorn-ATH demanded. We did not do anything, Martinez said calmly. We simply stopped hiding. She nodded to Captain Brooks, who pressed a button on his console. He sent a short encrypted message. It traveled through space at the speed of light, heading toward the outer edge of the solar system where Earth's sun was just a bright star among many. The Calreth intercepted the message easily. Their computers decoded it in seconds. The message was only 2 words. Show them. What does this mean? Vorn-ATH asked. His voice was no longer confident. Show us what? Martinez walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. You will see in about 3 minutes. I recommend you prepare your sensors. You are going to want to record this. On the Calreth flagship, Zektar was staring at his displays. High Speaker, I am detecting a gravitational distortion forming in Sector 7. It is massive. How massive? Vorn-ATH asked. Zektar looked at his readings again, as if he could not believe them. High Speaker, the readings say it is larger than anything I have ever seen. But that cannot be right. Nothing that large can travel through faster than light space. The energy requirements would be impossible. Apparently, Martinez said, still watching the stars, humans learned how to do the impossible. And then space itself began to tear open. The distortion grew larger. Space rippled like water when a stone is thrown into a pond. The Calreth sensors screamed warnings. Their computers could not process what they were seeing. The numbers did not make sense. Impossible, Zektar whispered. The mass readings are off the scale. Whatever is coming through is enormous. On the bridge of the UNS Horizon, Captain Brooks watched the viewscreen with a small smile. Commander Harris stood beside him, arms crossed. Dr. Bennett was recording everything with scientific instruments. Here she comes, Harris said quietly. Space tore open completely. A massive shape began to emerge from the faster-than-light corridor. First the bow appeared, a wall of dark metal that seemed to go on forever. Then more of the ship came through. And more. And more. The UNS Titan's hammer had arrived. The ship was over 4 kilometers long. Its hull was made of compressed neutronium alloy, a material so dense that it could survive the heart of a star. Weapon batteries covered every surface, each one powerful enough to destroy a small moon. Shield generators hummed with barely contained energy. The ship did not just float in space. It dominated space, bending gravity around it like a king wearing a crown. On the Calreth flagship, every alarm was ringing. Zektar stared at his displays with his mouth open. The colors on his skin flickered between dozens of different shades, none of them good. "High Speaker," he said, his voice shaking. "That ship. The power output. I cannot get an accurate reading. Our sensors cannot measure it. The number is too high." "How high?" Vorn ATH demanded. His earlier confidence had vanished completely. Zektar ran the calculations again. And again. The answer did not change. "High Speaker, that single ship has more firepower than our entire ceremonial fleet. Combined. It could destroy all 12 of our vessels without taking damage." Vorn ATH turned back to the communication screen. Ambassador Martinez was still there, looking completely calm. She had known. She had known this was coming the whole time. "What is that?" Vorn ATH asked. He was trying to sound authoritative, but fear crept into his voice. "That," Martinez said, "is the UNS Titan's Hammer. Our newest warship. Well, newest might not be the right word. We finished building her about 2 years ago. We just did not see any reason to tell anyone about her until now." A new face appeared on the communication screens of both ships. It was a woman with short dark hair and eyes that looked like they had seen countless battles. She wore the uniform of an Earth Admiral, with enough medals on her chest to show she had earned her rank the hard way. "Good afternoon," the woman said politely. "I am Admiral Patricia Morgan, Commanding Officer of the UNS Titan's Hammer. High Speaker Vorn ATH, War Coordinator Zektar, it is a pleasure to meet you." Her tone was friendly, but her eyes were hard. This was a woman who did not bluff. This was a woman who kept her promises, both good and bad. "Admiral," Vorn ATH managed to say, "this is unexpected." "I am sure it is," Morgan replied. "When you were watching Earth, you focused on our inner system. You saw our orbital platforms. You counted our patrol vessels. You analyzed our obvious defenses. What you did not see was what we were building out past Neptune, in the dark and the cold where nobody was looking." She gestured, and technical readouts appeared on everyone's screens. Zektar studied them with growing horror. "The Titan's Hammer is equipped with particle beam arrays, plasma cannons, and kinetic missile launchers," Morgan explained. "Her armor is compressed neutronium alloy. I believe your sensors are having trouble analyzing it. That is because we are using manufacturing techniques that you thought were impossible." "This cannot be," Zektar said. "Your species is too young, too primitive. You should not have this technology." "Should not," Lieutenant Jacob Miller said. He was the tactical officer on the Titan's Hammer, and he appeared on screen next to Admiral Morgan. "That is an interesting phrase. It suggests you thought you knew what we were capable of. But you were wrong." Chief Engineer Helen Carter joined the conversation. She was a woman in her 50s with grease on her hands and a proud smile on her face. "Humans are good at 2 things, War Coordinator. We are good at solving impossible problems, and we are good at building things that people say cannot be built. The Titan's Hammer is proof of both." Vorn ATH was trying to regain control of the situation. "One ship does not make you a power. The collective has thousands of vessels." "One ship," Admiral Morgan agreed. "But who said we only built one?" She let that statement hang in the air for a moment. The implications were terrifying. If humanity had built one ship this powerful, what else might they have built in secret? "We have 5 Titan-class vessels," Morgan said calmly. "The Titan's Hammer is simply the closest one to this location. The others are stationed throughout our space. Would you like me to call them here as well? It would take a few hours, but I am sure they would not mind the trip." Zektar was running more calculations. His colors had gone completely pale. "High Speaker, if they have 5 of these ships, our fleet does not stand a chance. Even our main battle groups would struggle against a single Titan-class vessel. Against 5, we would be destroyed in minutes." "Then it is fortunate," Ambassador Martinez said, "that we are not your enemies. At least, not yet." Vorn ATH stared at her. Everything had changed. The weak species he had planned to dominate was suddenly a terrifying military power. The easy conquest had turned into a potential disaster. "You tricked us," he said quietly. "No," Captain Brooks said. "We let you deceive yourselves. You assumed we were primitive because we looked primitive. You assumed we were weak because we acted weak. You assumed we would be easy victims because that is what you wanted to believe. That was your mistake, not ours. A new holographic display activated above the conference table on the UNS horizon. A man appeared, wearing the uniform of an Earth general. He was older, with silver hair and calculating eyes. This was General Marcus Flynn, head of Strategic Intelligence. "Hi, Speaker Vorn-80H," General Flynn said. "My name is Marcus Flynn. I run intelligence operations for Earth's military. I think it is time we had an honest conversation." Vorn-80H's colors flickered with uncertainty. "What do you mean?" Flynn pulled up a series of images. They showed Calrith ships observing different worlds. They showed diplomatic meetings similar to this one. They showed species signing agreements, looking defeated and afraid. "We know about your past conquests," Flynn said. "We know how the Calrith Collective really works. You find young species just entering space. You watch them. You analyze their defenses. Then you offer them a choice that is not really a choice. Join you willingly or face economic warfare, trade blockades, and mysterious accidents until they have no option but to surrender." Zektar started to object, but Flynn held up a hand. "We have recordings of your communications," Flynn continued. "We broke your encryption codes 2 months ago. We have been listening to everything you say to each other. We know about the resource shortages in your territory. We know that 6 of your 12 member species are unhappy with Calrith leadership. We know that your military is spread too thin trying to control too much space." Vorn-80H went very still. If what Flynn said was true, then the Calrith had no secrets left. Earth knew everything. "You wanted to add Earth to your collective," Flynn said. "You wanted our resources, our scientific knowledge, our manufacturing capabilities. You needed us to solve your resource problems. But you made a critical error in judgment." "What error?" Vorn-80H asked quietly. "You assumed we would react like the other species you conquered," Flynn replied. "You assumed we would be afraid. You assumed we would be unprepared. But humans have been preparing for first contact for over 50 years. We always knew there might be hostile aliens out there. So we prepared." Dr. Bennett pulled up more data on her console. "The 3 orbital platforms you detected were decoys," she explained. "They were designed to look like our primary defense system. The real defense grid has been hidden on the dark side of our moon for years. It consists of 48 weapons platforms, each one more powerful than anything you detected." "The patrol vessels you counted were also decoys," Commander Harris added. "Our real military fleet has been stationed beyond Neptune. We kept them cold, powered down, invisible to your scans. You saw what we wanted you to see." Ambassador Martinez stepped forward. "For 3 months, you watched us. You thought you were the hunters and we were the prey. But the whole time, we were studying you right back. We learned your language. We analyzed your technology. We decoded your tactics. And we fed you exactly the information that would make you overconfident." Vorn-80H looked around at his officers. They all wore expressions of shock and fear. Everything they thought they knew had been wrong. The primitive humans had outsmarted them completely. "What do you want?" Vorn-80H asked. His voice was empty now, defeated. "That is a much better question," Martinez said. "What we want is very simple. We want you to listen to a different kind of offer. One that actually benefits both our peoples." Captain Brooks activated another display. This one showed star charts and trade routes. "Earth is willing to establish diplomatic and economic relations with the Calrith Collective. But as equals, not as subjects. We will trade fairly. We will share some knowledge and technology, as partners do. But we will not surrender our independence." "And if we refuse?" Zektar asked. He already knew the answer, but he had to ask. Admiral Morgan's face became very serious. "If you refuse, then Earth will share what we know about the Calrith Collective with every species in this region of space. We will tell them how you truly operate. We will offer protection to any species that wants to leave your collective. And we will enforce that protection with our fleet." Vorn-80H's colors went dark. You would destroy the collective. We would free the species you have enslaved, Martinez corrected. There is a difference. We are not trying to build an empire, High Speaker. We are trying to prevent you from building yours. General Flynn pulled up more data. We have already made preliminary contact with representatives from 8 species currently in your collective. They have privately expressed interest in independence. They were afraid to leave before because they feared Calrith retaliation. But with Earth's protection, they are ready to make that choice. This is blackmail, Zektar said angrily. No, Admiral Morgan said. This is diplomacy backed by strength. You taught us this method, War Coordinator. You just never expected someone to use it on you. The room was silent for a long moment. Everyone could feel the weight of history pressing down. This conversation would change the balance of power in this entire region of space. Finally, Vorn-80H spoke. His voice was quiet, thoughtful. Why offer us anything at all? If you are as powerful as you claim, you could simply destroy our fleet here and now. You could invade our space and take what you want. Ambassador Martinez smiled. Because that is not who we are. Humans prefer willing allies to conquered subjects. We prefer trade to tribute. We prefer cooperation to domination. We have learned from our own history that empires built on force always fall eventually. We want to build something that lasts. She walked closer to the view screen, looking directly at Vorn-80H. You have a choice now, High Speaker. A real choice, not the fake choice you offered us. You can accept Earth as an equal partner in galactic affairs. You can reform the collective into something based on mutual benefit instead of coercion. Or you can refuse, and watch your empire collapse as species after species leaves to join a new alliance with Earth at its center. Choose wisely, Captain Brooks added. Because this offer will not come again. High Speaker Vorn-80H requested a private conference with his advisors. Ambassador Martinez agreed, giving them 1 hour. The Calrith ships moved away slightly, their communication channels buzzing with encrypted transmissions. On the bridge of the UNS Horizon, the human team waited. Captain Brooks paced slowly, thinking. Commander Harris monitored the Calrith ships carefully, watching for any sign of treachery. Dr. Bennett analyzed the language patterns from their conversations, looking for hidden meanings. Do you think they will accept? Harris asked quietly. Martinez looked out at the massive shape of the Titan's hammer floating in the distance. They do not have much choice. If they refuse, they lose everything. If they accept, they at least keep some power and dignity. They could try to fight, Brooks pointed out. They could. Admiral Morgan's voice came through the communication system from the Titan's hammer. But Zektar knows the numbers. He knows they would lose. The only question is whether Vorn-80H's pride will let him admit defeat. 50 minutes passed. Then the Calrith ships returned to their original positions. Vorn-80H's face appeared on the view screen. He looked older somehow, as if he had aged years in the past hour. His colors were muted, subdued. Ambassador Martinez, he said formally, the Calrith Collective has considered your proposal. We find your terms acceptable. Martinez nodded. She showed no triumph, no satisfaction. This was not about winning or losing. This was about building a better future. I am pleased to hear that, High Speaker. We will prepare formal agreements for both our governments to review. There is one thing I must know, Vorn-80H said. You said you have 5 Titan-class warships. Is that true? Martinez smiled slightly. Does it matter, High Speaker? The Titan's hammer alone has changed the balance of power. Whether we have 1 or 5 or 10, the result is the same. The galaxy now knows that humanity is not defenseless. Vorn-80H considered this. Then, surprisingly, his colors shifted to something that might have been respect. You are a worthy opponent, Ambassador. I wish our first meeting had been under different circumstances. Perhaps, Martinez replied. But these circumstances taught both our peoples valuable lessons. You learned that young species can still be dangerous. We learned that strength without wisdom is meaningless. Maybe we both needed to learn those lessons. The communication ended. The Calrith fleet began to prepare for departure. Vorn 80H had agreed to return to Calrith space and present Earth's terms to the full Collective Council. He had also agreed to release information about Earth's military capabilities to all collective member species, as a show of good faith. As the alien ships prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, a new communication came through. It was not from the Calrith. It was from Earth. The President of the United Earth Government, Andrew Sullivan, appeared on the main view screen. "Ambassador Martinez, Captain Brooks," President Sullivan said. "Well done. You have opened a new chapter in human history. The people of Earth are proud of you." "Thank you, Mr. President," Martinez replied. "But the hard work is just beginning. We need to formalize these agreements, establish embassies, create trade frameworks. This was just the first step." "I know," Sullivan said. "But it was the most important step. You showed the galaxy that humanity will not be bullied. You showed them that we can be strong without being cruel. You showed them that we mean what we say." The Calrith ships vanished in flashes of light, jumping away to their distant homes. The UNS Horizon and the Titan's Hammer were left alone in the vast emptiness of space. Captain Brooks walked over to the viewport and stared out at the stars. Martinez joined him. They stood in silence for a moment, both thinking about what had just happened. "Do we really have 5 Titan-class ships?" Brooks asked quietly, so only Martinez could hear. Martinez's smile was enigmatic. "Does it matter? They believe we do. That belief is just as powerful as the reality." Brooks laughed quietly. "You did not answer the question." "No," Martinez agreed. "I did not." Far away, past the orbit of Neptune, hidden in the darkness and cold of the outer solar system, massive construction yards floated in the void. Inside those yards, 2 more Titan-class warships were nearing completion. Their hulls were already finished, gleaming with compressed neutronium armor. Their weapon systems were being installed. Their engines were being tested. And beyond those 2 ships, in deeper facilities that even fewer people knew about, the frameworks for 3 more vessels were being assembled. Humanity had told the Calrith they had 5 Titan-class ships. By the end of the year, that statement would be completely true. On the bridge of the UNS Horizon, Commander Harris checked the long-range sensors. "Admiral Morgan is signaling. The Titan's Hammer is preparing to return to patrol duty." "Acknowledge," Brooks said. "Thank the Admiral for her assistance." The massive warship began to turn, its engines glowing with barely contained power. It was heading back to the outer system, back to its secret station, back to waiting and watching. But now the galaxy knew it existed. Now the galaxy knew that humanity had teeth. Dr. Bennett looked up from her console. "Ambassador, I am receiving communications from several species that were part of the Calrith Collective. They are requesting formal diplomatic contact with Earth. They want to discuss independence." Martinez nodded. "Forward those requests to Earth. Let the diplomatic corps handle them. We have done our part." "So what happens now?" Harris asked. Martinez looked around at her team. They were tired but proud. They had faced down an alien empire and won without firing a single shot. They had shown the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. "Now," she said, "the real work begins. We build alliances. We establish trade. We create a new order based on cooperation instead of domination. We show the galaxy that there is a better way." "And if someone else tries what the Calrith tried?" Brooks asked. Martinez smiled. It was a confident smile, the smile of someone who knew humanity's true strength. "Then we show them the Titan's Hammer. And we remind them why it is a very bad idea to threaten humanity." The UNS Horizon turned toward home, its mission complete. Behind it, the stars shone bright and endless. Somewhere out there, other species were watching, wondering, calculating. They had seen what happened when someone tried to bully humanity. They had seen the Titan's Hammer. And they would remember. In the cold darkness of space, humanity had announced itself to the galaxy. Not as victims. Not as conquerors. But as equals who would defend themselves and protect others. The age of humanity hiding in its own solar system was over. The age of humanity as a galactic power had begun.